Hey everyone, my name is Gavin and I love horror. There is no hotter horror franchise operating right now than Damien Leone's Terrifier series. What started as a low-budget short has now grown into a multi-million-dollar franchise. But how did we get here? Was art always destined for greatness, or is it more a case of a director never giving up on his vision? Let's get into it. To start the history of the Terrifier franchise, you have to go all the way back to 2006 to when Art the Clown made his first appearance in the short film The Ninth Circle, which Leone wrote and directed. During this time, Art the Clown was played by Mike Gianelli. In this short, Art abducts a woman from a train station and brings her to a satanic cult as a sacrifice for the devil. In 2011, Leone would make another short film, this time titled Terrifier. That sound familiar? It's the thing the series is gonna eventually be called, so yeah, that's where the name came from. In Terrifier, Art is once again played by Gianelli and is more Art goodness as he torments a woman who witnesses one of his other murders. You know, Art stuff. If you're thinking, hey, these sound kind of familiar, that's because both of these shorts appear in the 2013 anthology film All Hallows Eve as VHS tapes, which, nerdy horror fun fact, Bloody Disgusting, who now helped produce the Terrifier films, also created and produced the VHS series. The minute Art appeared on a VHS tape, you knew Bloody Disgusting would eventually be involved. Love you guys. Leone used All Hallows Eve as a way to introduce a wider audience to Art the Clown. But even with two single outings and All Hallows Eve, Art the Clown wasn't exactly a household name. I only watched All Hallows Eve for the first time recently, and it definitely has that indie horror feel to it. Very low budget, kind of grimy. But one thing was present even in those early shorts, and that was Damien Leone's knack for practical blood and gore. That and the director wasn't afraid to push the boundaries of what is allowed in the genre. The ending of All Hallows Eve is pretty bold and not somewhere a lot of directors would dare to go. I mean, he takes out some kids at the end of the movie, which I don't know why more people don't end their movies that way. It seems like a very brave place to go. Disney, just maybe surprise us next time, I guess. But All Hallows Eve was one of those movies you'd see when scrolling through Netflix and kind of skip past because clowns are an overdone trope in the horror genre. It takes a lot to stand out in the clown genre. Get it? It takes a lot. But the Terrifier series would get a proper start in 2016 with the release of Terrifier, and with that came the reason for much of the series' success, the casting of David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. Mike Gianelli had retired from acting by the time the new film was being made, and while Gianelli was fine, Thornton is Art the Clown. Leone described that Gianelli was a guy dressed like a clown, but Thornton is a clown. And that really makes a huge difference. But man, you gotta kind of feel bad for Gianelli because now Art the Clown is like a huge horror icon and like, he's not the character anymore, but I digress. The humor that David Howard Thornton brings to the character of Art the Clown is unlike anything else. Sure, he's nasty, sure, he's violent, but he's also legitimately hilarious. And he does this without saying a single word. Terrifier was made on a budget of only $35,000 and actually failed to raise additional money in an Indiegogo campaign. But with 35 grand, they made the damn thing. And I think everyone kind of admits that the first proper Terrifier film isn't that great, but what it lacks in character development, it makes up for in being balls to the wall violent. Only a few horror movies are able to achieve the status of having what is known as the scene. Like a scene where you just describe a scene and you know exactly what they're talking about. And Terrifier has one of the most brutal, violent, and downright disgusting the scenes of all time. Hacksaw. It's just crazy. The effects are top notch, but also have that 70s, 80s look that makes everything look a little bit more gross. You also have gross out gags, including like the bathroom writing. That's also nasty and makes your stomach churn. The movie is not messing around with gore or other bodily functions. It's nasty, y'all. Art the Clown also breaks the rules of slasher villains. Sure, he uses knives and other stabby weapons, but he also uses a gun? That's not allowed. You can't just use a gun. That's cheating. He breaks the rules and it feels nasty, like he's about to die, but he just shoots somebody and you're like, what the f? happened there? But it's after the first film that the character of Art and the movie Terrifier start getting a bit of buzz. It was picked up and distributed for a limited theatrical run in 2018 by Dread Central, and it would be a staple on Netflix for what felt like forever. But again, I didn't watch it because it looked like another lame clown movie, and I have been burned by clown movies before. I couldn't be hurt again. Don't hurt me, scary clowns. I've been hurt. But I did finally watch Terrifier when I learned about it from an unlikely place.
Hi guys!
Yeah, Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, the man of 1004 holds, the Ocho. As a wrestling fan, I randomly saw an episode of his podcast Talk is Jericho where he was interviewing David Howard Thornton, so I decided as a horror fan to check it out. Jericho's apparently a big fan of the movie Terrifier and horror in general, so I decided to check out the movie based on Jericho's recommendation, and the rest is history. So thanks, Chris Jericho, for giving me one of my favorite horror franchises to enjoy. Thanks, buddy. Also, that's why Chris Jericho shows up in Terrifier 2. If Damien Leone would have stopped after making the first Terrifier, I think it could still be considered a huge success. Like, he created a cult horror figure who hardcore fans appreciated, and he got to show off his great effects skills, which his blood and gore skills, they're great. They are legitimately wonderful. And if the first Terrifier is a showcase for that skill. But this is horror. And baby, you gotta have a sequel. We'll get into Terrifier 2 here in just a second, but before we do that, please leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel. It all helps me out a ton. My goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I don't know if I can do it, but I think maybe if we all band together, we can make it happen. So if you hit that subscribe button, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. In 2019, Leone launched another Indiegogo campaign and tried to raise $50,000 to make Terrifier 2. Unlike the first campaign, which was a failure, he managed to raise $250,000 for the sequel. I remember being so excited for Terrifier 2, like my trailer reaction for that movie is the third video I ever posted for this channel. But still, even with the buzz for Terrifier 2, it was still mostly for the hardcore fans to look forward to, and we still have to wait a couple of years after that first trailer for Terrifier 2 to even come out, mostly because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But after waiting for what felt like forever, in October 2022, Terrifier 2 finally came out, and it was absolutely worth the wait. I remember going to my AMC and sitting with the other sickos watching Art do his thing, and it was a great movie and made my love of the series grow so much. Never did I think, though, it would become the horror movie of Halloween 2022. And this is with an actual Halloween movie being released. But we don't talk about you, Halloween-ins. The word of mouth on Terrifier 2 was insane, with tales of people throwing up at the theater, people passing out, an ambulance got called for one person, people were leaving absolutely disgusted. It was wonderful. And you absolutely cannot buy that kind of press. You want to know how to make somebody see your movie? Tell them people are tossing their cookies while watching it, or that people are passing out having to go to the hospital after watching it. Like, that is some crazy good publicity. I talk about it in my Terrifier 2 is Making History video, but the week-to-week box office only got bigger for Terrifier 2. And this was for a movie that was released completely unrated. Like, it wasn't rated R, it was just not rated, which means they could show whatever nastiness they wanted to. People wanted to see how gross and violent the movie was. It became like a rite of passage during Halloween, like, can you make it through Terrifier 2? Terrifier was officially in the mainstream with articles in Variety, and of course a bunch of people damning the movie for violence. Also, damning the movie is also great publicity. I think what made people really appreciate Terrifier 2 is just how true to itself that it was. It knows what it wants to be, and also it helps that Terrifier 2 is a huge improvement over the first film. You have a badass protagonist in Lauren LeBaire as Sienna, and a great supporting cast, including Elliot Fulham, who plays her brother Jonathan. And you also have Casey Harnett, who plays Allie, who gets the privilege this time out of being in The Scene, Bleach, and Salt. Terrifier 2 is also incredibly funny because David Howard Thornton knows how to terrify you and also make you laugh. The movie also spawned a bunch of memes, and people on TikTok loved it. Art the Clown is a banned hashtag on TikTok. What y'all do to get Art the Clown banned on TikTok? But when you get something banned on TikTok or you talk about it on TikTok, it's gonna hit the mainstream. So thanks TikTokers for making Art and Terrifier a big deal. And that kind of brings us to where we are now, 2 years removed from Terrifier 2 and about a week away from Terrifier 3. It's safe to say that Damien Leone's dedication to the character has absolutely paid off. At any point, he could have given up on this character and tried to do something else, but he just kept chugging away and making more movies with this character because he believed in Art the Clown so much. And now look, Art the Clown is everywhere. He's on the official Spirit Halloween shirt. He has an animatronic in stores, and he has way too many Funko Pops that are being resold for prices I refuse to pay. Why is everything so expensive? He's a common pop, for God's sake. Art the Clown also made a cameo on the Pete Davidson show Bupkis, which made me really conflicted because I hate Pete Davidson, but I love Art the Clown, so I watched it and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And the biggest holy shit Art has made it moment, Art the Clown is in fucking Call of Duty. Like 2 years ago, we would have been happy seeing him in Dead by Daylight. Never did I think the low-budget scary clown man would be in the third biggest gaming franchise of all time. That is batshit crazy banana talk. Like you can get shit talked by 10-year-olds while getting shot in the face by Art the Clown. You made it, man. And the hype surrounding Terrifier 3 is at an all-time high. The early reviews are stellar, with reports that people are walking out and vomiting already, which means that the franchise has not gone soft on us. Terrifier 3 has a song being written for it by Ice Nine Kills, one of my favorite and one of the hottest rock bands currently working. And Leone has already confirmed there are plans for a Terrifier 4. The series is the hottest it has ever been, and it's really great to see because I've met the cast and the crew of the Terrifier series, and they are the nicest people. This success could not be happening to kinder, just incredibly nice people who really love the horror genre. And honestly, as long as they keep making these movies, I'm gonna keep seeing them, and personally, I cannot wait until Art takes Manhattan or goes to space. Let's get weird. But what do you think? Are you a fan of the Terrifier franchise, or has it just never been your cup of tea? And for Terrifier 4, what do you hope to see? Let me know in the comments below. As always, would love if you leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel. It all helps me out a ton. Also, later this week, I'll have my review up for Terrifier 3, seeing it Thursday night, so I'm hoping to have it up by Friday morning. I'm gonna try to stay up all night and record and get that up first thing Friday morning and then go to work. But I'm so excited to see Terrifier 3. And thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly do appreciate it. And until next time, stay weird.